golden sun hung low in the sky, casting its warm glow across the endless stretch of the azure ocean. A small, sturdy motorboat named the Voyager cut gently through the calm waves, its white hull shimmering under the sunlight. At the helm was a young woman named Illyra, her dark hair dancing softly in the salty breeze. She was the island's new lighthouse keeper, freshly arrived to take over the duties on a mysterious and tranquil place called Seabreeze Island. Illyra's heart thumped with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. The island had long been rumored to hold secrets beyond the gentle swaying palms and sparkling shores, stories whispered among sailors of ancient lights, hidden caves, and a guardian spirit said to protect the island from storms and peril. As the Voyager glided closer, the dense greenery of Seabreeze Island began to emerge through the morning mist. Towering coconut palms bowed gracefully towards the water, and the gentle rustling of gum trees harmonized with the rhythmic lapping of waves against the rocky shoreline. The air was thick with the scent of salt, wildflowers, and something faintly sweet like a promise of untouched wonders. In the distance stood the proud silhouette of the lighthouse, an ivory tower crowned with a glass lantern room that caught the light like a beacon of hope. Its walls were weathered but strong, telling tales of countless storms weathered and ships guided safely home. Illyra's eyes sparkled as she surveyed her new home. She pulled out a worn leather journal from her bag, its pages filled with sketches and notes left by the previous keeper, a man named Captain Orion, who had mysteriously vanished months ago. According to his last entry, the island was more than just a place of solitude, it was alive with history and secrets waiting to be unraveled. Stepping off the boat onto the smooth wooden pier, Illyra felt the comforting creak beneath her boots. The pier stretched like a welcoming hand into the heart of the island, leading her towards a cluster of quaint cottages arranged in a crescent around a sandy clearing. Each cabin seemed to breathe with the island's spirit, walls etched with delicate grooves mimicking the gentle rise and fall of ocean waves. As she walked along the pier, a flock of vibrant parrots burst into the sky, their colorful feathers flashing brilliantly against the clear blue. The island's wildlife seemed unbothered by her arrival, their presence a silent greeting. Illyra paused at the edge of the clearing, catching sight of a weathered wooden sign pinned with ancient nails. Its faded paint told stories of local wildlife, small creatures that had called Seabreeze home for generations. Kangaroo rats darted among the roots, while ghostly white owls watched silently from the towering eucalyptus. The island's ecosystem was delicate but vibrant, a balance carefully maintained through years of respect and solitude. A gentle rustle drew her attention to a narrow path winding through the palms and gum trees. The ground beneath was soft with fallen leaves, and the air hummed with the buzz of unseen insects. Illyra took a deep breath, savoring the scent of damp earth and salty breeze mingled together, a perfume of adventure. Her fingers brushed over the rough bark of a coconut palm as she began her walk deeper into the island. The sun's rays filtered through the canopy, casting dancing patterns of light and shadow on the forest floor. Nearby, the distant call of a kookaburra echoed, a joyous laugh piercing the calm. Suddenly, Illyra spotted a curious object half buried in the sand, a weathered bottle sealed with a faded parchment inside. Intrigued, she carefully extracted the fragile scroll and unraveled it. The ink was smudged, but a message was still legible. To the one who finds this, know that Seabreeze holds more than light. Trust the island, and it will reveal its truths. A shiver ran down her spine, not from fear, but from a thrilling sense of purpose. This was no ordinary lighthouse post, it was a gateway to mysteries she was destined to explore. Illyra tucked the message into her jacket and continued along the path, eager to see what lay beyond the trees. She passed a small wooden bridge arching over a crystal-clear stream where silver fish darted beneath the surface. The sound of flowing water mingled with the whispering leaves, composing a melody of peace. As she ventured further, the path opened into a wide clearing where the lighthouse stood tall, bathed in the soft light of dawn. At its base, wildflowers bloomed in bursts of violet and gold, their petals shimmering with dew. Illyra approached the tower's heavy wooden door, its surface scarred by time and salt. With a deep breath, she pushed it open, stepping into a spiral staircase that wound upward into the beacon's heart. The air was cool and smelled faintly of oil and old stone. Reaching the lantern room, Illyra gazed out across the panoramic vista, endless sea stretching to the horizon, the island's lush canopy rolling beneath her, and the distant outline of ships sailing lazily home. But as the sun rose higher, a sudden shadow crossed the room. Illyra turned sharply, catching sight of a figure standing just outside the lighthouse window, a tall man cloaked in weathered sea gear, his eyes as deep and restless as the ocean. "Welcome to Seabreeze, Keeper," he said with a knowing smile. "I'm Lysander, the island's guardian. There's much you'll need to learn." Illyra felt a surge of excitement. Her journey had truly begun. The morning light spilled warmly through the glass panes of the lantern room as Illyra turned to face Lysander. His weather-beaten face was etched with countless stories, and his deep-set eyes gleamed with a mix of wisdom and a hint of sorrow. "Lysander," Illyra said, steadying her voice, "you said you're the guardian of the island. What does that mean?" "I thought I was the lighthouse keeper now." Lysander chuckled softly, stepping fully inside the room. "Ah, the lighthouse keeper tends the light, a vital role to guide the ships. But the guardian watches over Seabreeze itself. This island is no ordinary place, Illyra. It holds a delicate balance between the natural world and something older." He gestured to a dusty cabinet in the corner and pulled out a heavy leather-bound book. Its cover was embossed with strange symbols, resembling waves intertwined with ancient runes. "This is the Chronicles of Seabreeze," Lysander explained. "Written by the first keepers and guardians who lived here centuries ago. It tells of the island's origin and the spirit that dwells within the lighthouse." Illyra's fingers trembled as she opened the book, revealing yellowed pages filled with detailed sketches of storms, sea creatures, and strange glowing lights over the water. One illustration showed a spectral figure, half woman, half wind, holding a lantern that could calm tempests. "The Sea Warden," Lysander whispered. "A protector who appears only when the island or its people are in peril. But she vanished long ago. Since then, storms have grown fiercer, and ships sometimes disappear without a trace." Illyra's gaze drifted toward the window, where the calm sea betrayed no hint of danger. "Do you think she's still here, somewhere?" Lysander's eyes darkened. I believe she waits for the right moment, or perhaps for someone worthy to call her forth again. That someone could be you. The words settled over Illyra like a tidal wave. Could she truly be connected to the island's ancient spirit? She thought of the mysterious message in the bottle and the feeling that the island had chosen her. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed through the lighthouse. Lysander turned, surprised. "That must be Arlo," he said. "The island's elder. He rarely visits the lighthouse, but when he does, it means something important." Illyra moved toward the door and opened it to reveal an elderly man with weathered skin and bright, intelligent eyes. In one hand, he carried a bundle of herbs, in the other, a carved wooden talisman. "Welcome, Illyra," Arlo said warmly. "I've been expecting you." Illyra stepped aside to let him in. "I've just met Lysander. He told me about the island's history. There's so much I don't understand yet." Arlo nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, Seabreeze is special. The animals here are more than just creatures, they are guardians themselves, bound by ancient magic. The island's balance depends on them and on the light you keep burning each night." He handed Illyra the talisman. "This will protect you during your time here. It's carved from the hardwood of the oldest gum tree on the island. Keep it close." Illyra accepted it gratefully, feeling its subtle warmth pulse through her palm. As the three of them talked, the sky outside darkened unexpectedly. A sudden gust rattled the windows, and the lighthouse's light flickered briefly. "Storm coming," Lysander said grimly. "And this one feels different. The sea is restless, and something stirs beneath the waves." Illyra's pulse quickened. "What do we do?" Arlo looked at her with steady confidence. "You must prepare the beacon. Tonight, the light must shine brighter than ever. The island and its spirit depend on it." Outside, the wind began to howl, carrying distant thunder and the faint scent of ozone. Illyra knew this was just the beginning of her true test, a night where the ancient secrets of Seabreeze would reveal themselves, and her fate would intertwine with the island forever. As the wind howled louder outside, Illyra hurried to the lantern room's ancient control panel. The brass levers and dials gleamed faintly in the fading light, waiting to be commanded. She recalled Arlo's words, the beacon must shine brighter than ever tonight. Lysander and Arlo followed closely, their faces set with determination. The storm was no ordinary tempest, it carried an energy that vibrated through the very bones of the island. Illyra reached for the main switch and carefully engaged the mechanism. The giant Fresnel lens inside the lighthouse began to rotate, casting a powerful beam across the darkening sea. The light sliced through the thickening clouds, a beacon of hope amid the gathering chaos. Suddenly, a strange sensation rippled through the air, a low hum, almost musical, vibrating from the lighthouse's core. Illyra's eyes widened. "Do you hear that?" she asked, gripping the railing. Lysander nodded. "It's the island responding." The spirit is waking. Outside, the waves surged higher, crashing against the rocks with newfound fury. Thunder roared like ancient drums, and flashes of lightning illuminated fleeting shapes just beyond the shoreline, shadowy figures moving with unnatural grace. Arlo's voice was calm but urgent. Seabreeze's magic is stirring. You must stay close to the light. It's the only thing that can keep the storm and whatever lies beneath at bay. As the night deepened, Illyra noticed the sea's surface ripple, as if something massive stirred beneath. Suddenly, a colossal shadow emerged, a great serpent-like creature with shimmering scales that reflected the lighthouse's glow. The beast's eyes glowed with an eerie green light as it circled the island, roaring a sound that shook the trees. Illyra's heart pounded, but she held firm, her hands steady on the lighthouse controls. Lysander whispered, "This is Morvith, the ancient sea guardian. It has protected the island for centuries but grows restless when the balance is threatened." Arlo stepped forward, holding the wooden talisman high. "The light calms Morvith, but only if it remains strong. If it falters, the beast will break free, and the island's fate will be sealed." Suddenly, a fierce gust blew out the lighthouse's flame. Darkness swallowed the tower. Illyra's breath caught. The storm screamed louder. With trembling hands, she relit the flame, igniting it with a spark from the tinderbox Lysander handed her. The light burst forth again, brighter and steadier than before, slicing through the shadows. Morvith let out a shuddering roar and retreated beneath the waves, calming the sea's fury. Exhausted but resolute, Illyra turned to Lysander and Arlo. "What happens now?" Lysander smiled faintly. "Now, the island will test you. You are part of its story now, the keeper of the light and the guardians chosen. Secrets buried beneath the sands await, and you must find them before the next storm." As dawn broke, the skies cleared, revealing a breathtaking sunrise casting golden hues over Seabreeze Island. But Illyra knew her journey was just beginning and the island's mysteries were far from fully revealed. The early morning calm settled over Seabreeze Island, but Illyra's mind was anything but peaceful. The encounter with Morvith had shaken her, but also ignited a fierce determination. She knew the island was calling her to uncover what lay hidden beneath its sunlit shores. After a brief rest in her cozy cabin, Illyra grabbed her leather satchel, packing a few essentials: a small lantern, her grandfather's old compass, and the Chronicles of Seabreeze. Lysander and Arlo awaited her outside, their expressions serious but encouraging. "We should start by exploring the eastern beach," Arlo suggested. "That's where the old shipwreck is said to lie, buried in the sands. Some believe it holds clues to the island's past and the Sea Warden's disappearance." Illyra nodded, the thrill of discovery quickening her steps as they made their way through thick palm groves and salty sea air. The beach stretched long and pristine, the white sands sparkling like crushed diamonds beneath the sun. Near the shoreline, half buried in sand and coral, lay the remains of a grand ship, its wooden hull broken and weathered by time and tide. Ancient carvings adorned the exposed beams, waves curling into spirals, mysterious runes entwined with sea creatures. Illyra ran her fingers lightly over the carvings, feeling the rough texture and strange warmth beneath her touch. "This ship must have been important," she murmured. "Look at these symbols, they match some in the chronicles." Lysander pointed to a half-open chest nestled near the wreck. "Let's see what secrets it holds." Carefully, they pried the chest open. Inside, wrapped in oilskin, was a collection of delicate parchment scrolls, sealed bottles filled with strange blue liquid, and a finely crafted silver pendant shaped like a lantern. Illyra unfurled one of the scrolls. The faded script told a tale of a crew who had sworn to protect the Sea Warden's legacy. They spoke of a ritual to awaken the spirit when the island's light dimmed and darkness threatened. Her eyes caught a line that sent a chill down her spine. "Only the chosen keeper, bound by blood and courage, can rekindle the ancient flame and command the guardian's power." Arlo exchanged a knowing glance with Lysander. "It seems your arrival was no coincidence, Illyra. You may be more connected to the island's fate than you realize." Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed from the cliffs, and a flash of light streaked across the sky. The island seemed alive, responding to the secrets being unearthed. Illyra clutched the silver pendant. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat synchronized with the island itself. "Tonight," she whispered, "I will light the beacon as never before and discover if the Sea Warden still listens." As twilight descended on Seabreeze Island, Illyra prepared for her evening ritual. The silver pendant hung heavy around her neck, glowing softly in the dimming light. Lysander and Arlo stood beside her at the base of the lighthouse, their faces shadowed but resolute. "Before we light the beacon," Arlo said, "there's one place you must see: the Whispering Caves. Hidden along the northern cliffs, they're said to be the voice of the island itself, carrying messages from the Sea Warden." Illyra's curiosity sparked anew. Guided by the flickering lanterns, the trio set off along a narrow, rocky path hugging the island's edge. The air grew cooler, mingled with the sharp scent of salt and ancient stone. The entrance to the caves yawned before them like a dark maw, jagged rocks framing the way inside. Stepping in, Illyra was immediately enveloped by an eerie chorus, the gentle drip of water, distant echoes, and, faintly, a susurrus like whispered voices. "Listen closely," Lysander urged. "The island speaks through the caves if you're willing to hear." Illyra closed her eyes and let the sounds wash over her. At first, it was just the natural rhythm of water against rock. Then, amid the trickles and echoes, came faint words, soft, melodic, and haunting. "Keeper. The light must never falter. Darkness approaches. Beware the tide breaker." The warning sent a shiver down Illyra's spine. She opened her eyes, searching the shadows. The cave walls glistened with veins of luminous crystals, casting a ghostly glow. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind swept through the passage, and the soft whispers escalated into a surge of voices, urgent, pleading, ancient. Illyra reached instinctively for the pendant, which now pulsed rapidly. A surge of warmth spread from her chest outward, anchoring her resolve. "We must prepare," she said firmly. This tidebreaker, whatever it is, it threatens the island. The light will be our shield. Lysander nodded. Tonight's beacon will be more than guidance, it will be a call for help, a summons for the Sea Warden's return. As they exited the caves, the full moon emerged from behind wisps of cloud, illuminating the wild landscape with silvery light. The ocean below shimmered, calm yet foreboding. Illyra felt the weight of destiny pressing upon her shoulders. The island's voice had spoken. Now, it was time to answer. The night air was thick with anticipation as Illyra ascended the lighthouse stairs, the silver pendant glowing steadily against her chest. The island below lay bathed in moonlight, deceptively peaceful, while the sea whispered warnings only she could hear. Inside the lantern room, Illyra prepared the ancient oil lamps passed down through generations. Each flame was carefully lit, their combined glow magnified by the rotating Fresnel lens. Tonight, the beacon would shine brighter and stronger than ever before, a beacon of hope and a ward against the rising darkness. Suddenly, a sharp tapping echoed against the glass. Illyra turned to see a dark shape darting along the rocky shoreline below, a figure cloaked in midnight, moving with unnatural speed. Lysander! She called out, but he was nowhere to be seen. A sudden chill swept through the room, and the shadows seemed to thicken, curling like smoke around her feet. The pendant pulsed wildly, its light flickering in sync with the heavy beat of her heart. Outside, the storm clouds gathered faster than before. Lightning tore across the sky, illuminating the silhouette of a colossal ship on the horizon, its sails tattered, its hull blackened and cracked. The Black Dagger, Lysander's voice came from the doorway, tense and urgent. A ghost ship said to be cursed, captained by the Tidebreaker. It returns once every century to claim the island's secrets. Illyra's eyes locked on the ship, its spectral crew visible beneath the flickering lanterns, ghostly figures with hollow eyes and silent mouths. "We must keep the light burning," she said, gripping the pendant tightly. "If the beacon falters, the curse will unleash." Arlo appeared beside her, chanting softly in an ancient tongue. The room filled with a shimmering aura as protective runes glowed faintly around the lighthouse walls. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. The temperature dropped sharply, and Illyra felt a force pushing against her very soul. "Hold on!" Lysander shouted, battling against the dark wind that whipped through the chamber. Illyra focused on the pendant's steady glow, summoning all her courage. The beacon's light flared, slicing through the tempest like a sword. Outside, the ghost ship shuddered and wailed, its cursed crew retreating into the mist. As dawn approached, the storm broke, leaving the island drenched but safe for now. Illyra exhaled deeply, her heart still racing. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "Seabreeze needs its guardian and I will not fail." The first light of morning filtered through the dense canopy of Seabreeze Island, but Illyra's thoughts were far from the peaceful dawn. The encounter with the Black Dagger haunted her mind, its cursed presence a shadow over the island's fragile peace. Determined to uncover the truth, Illyra, Lysander, and Arlo gathered their gear and set off toward the cliffs overlooking the sea, the last known resting place of the Black Dagger's original wreck. Centuries ago. As they climbed the rugged path, Lysander shared tales passed down through generations. The ship was once a proud vessel carrying explorers and scholars, but greed and betrayal cursed it to wander the seas as a ghost, forever seeking what it lost, a mysterious artifact said to control the sea warden itself. At the cliff's edge, the waves crashed violently against jagged rocks below. Illyra's eyes caught a faint glimmer, a fragment of an ancient, weathered medallion half buried in sand. Kneeling, she picked it up. The metal was cold, etched with runes matching those in the chronicles. Suddenly, a chill breeze whispered through the air, carrying voices distant, sorrowful, and pleading. "Help us. Release the curse." The pendant around Illyra's neck pulsed in response, glowing brighter than ever. She felt a sudden surge of energy, a connection forming between her and the island's ancient power. Lysander glanced at her with concern. "The artifact holds the key to freeing the Sea Warden and ending the Tidebreaker's curse. But it's also dangerous. Many have sought it and been lost." Illyra's resolve hardened. "Then I will find it. Whatever it takes." As twilight fell again, they returned to the lighthouse, readying themselves for the next night's vigil. Unbeknownst to them, deep beneath the island, hidden tunnels stirred with unseen movement. Shadows shifted, and a pair of glowing eyes watched silently, waiting for the moment to strike. The island's secrets were awakening, and Illyra's destiny was entwined with them more than ever. The night was unusually still as Illyra stood at the lighthouse's base, clutching the ancient medallion she had found on the cliffs. Its cold metal pulsed faintly, as if alive with a heartbeat beneath her palm. The pendant's glow illuminated a map sketched in her mind leading deep into the island's hidden core. "Tonight," Lysander said quietly, "we explore the tunnels beneath Seabreeze. The place where the island's true power sleeps and where the artifact you hold might have originated." Arlo nodded, producing a lantern carved from driftwood and sea glass. "These tunnels are ancient, older than the lighthouse itself. Legends say they were carved by the first guardians, a labyrinth to protect the island's secrets from those unworthy." Illyra felt a thrill of both fear and determination. She tightened her grip on the pendant and stepped forward as they entered a concealed entrance nestled behind thick ferns. The air inside was cool and damp, echoing with distant drips of water. Moss-covered stones lined the winding walls, and faint luminescent fungi cast eerie glows along their path. With every step, the medallion grew warmer, guiding them deeper into the earth. Whispered voices surrounded them, fragments of ancient songs, warnings, and prayers. Suddenly, the path opened into a cavernous chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. At the center stood a stone altar, adorned with carvings of waves crashing and a radiant lantern held aloft. Illyra approached cautiously. The medallion around her neck vibrated fiercely, resonating with the altar's energy. Just then, a low growl echoed from the darkness. From the shadows emerged a creature part serpent, part jaguar, with scales shimmering like wet obsidian and eyes glowing with fierce intelligence. "The Tidebreaker's guardian," Lysander whispered. "A test for the worthy." Illyra's heart raced, but she stood her ground. The creature circled, muscles rippling beneath its sleek form, assessing her. Then, slowly, it bowed its head, recognizing her as the island's chosen. Breathing a sigh of relief, Illyra stepped to the altar, placing the medallion into a carved indentation. Light exploded throughout the chamber, illuminating ancient murals depicting the Sea Warden's legend, a spirit born from the union of sea and sky, protector of life and balance. The cavern hummed with awakening power. Illyra realized the journey ahead would be far greater, not just to save the island, but to embrace her role as its guardian. The cavern's brilliant light slowly faded, leaving Illyra bathed in a soft luminescence that seemed to pulse with the island's heartbeat. The stone altar before her now held the medallion, its glow merging with ancient runes carved into the cavern walls. Lysander stepped closer, his voice reverent. "You've passed the first trial. The island recognizes you. But awakening the Sea Warden is no simple feat. It requires the convergence of three ancient relics: the medallion you found, the Lantern of Tides, and the Heartstone, lost long ago." Arlo unfurled another page from the Chronicles, tracing his finger over a detailed map marking 3 locations across the island. The Lantern of Tides rests in the sunken ruins beneath the southern reef. The Heartstone is rumored to lie within the Forgotten Grove, a sacred forest that shifts and hides itself. Illyra absorbed the weight of the task. "I must find these relics. But the Tidebreaker's curse still threatens the island. Time is running out." The cavern trembled suddenly, dust cascading from the ceiling. From the shadows, the serpentine guardian reappeared, eyes fierce but no longer threatening. "It will guide you," Lysander said. "But beware, dark forces stir. The Tidebreaker's followers seek the relics for their own destructive purposes." Emerging from the cave entrance, the trio found the island transformed by dawn. Mist clung to the forest, and a chorus of distant calls echoed: birds, unknown creatures, and something else. A whisper carried on the wind, chilling and ominous. Their journey began along the rugged southern coast. The reef stretched like a natural fortress, coral teeth jagged and teeming with vibrant sea life. Illyra donned her diving gear, the Lantern of Tides resting place beckoning beneath the waves. As she plunged into the crystalline water, the world shifted. Sunlight filtered through in dancing beams, illuminating a submerged city of stone and coral, long swallowed by the ocean. Columns stood broken but proud, mosaics depicting ancient seafarers and mythical beings adorned the ruins. Navigating the labyrinthine corridors, Illyra's pendant pulsed warmly, guiding her to a grand chamber where the Lantern of Tides rested upon a pedestal. The artifact was breathtaking, a lantern of polished crystal, infused with swirling blue light that seemed alive. But before she could claim it, dark shapes emerged, shadowy figures cloaked in kelp and barnacles, eyes glowing with malice. The Tidebreaker's minions. A fierce underwater struggle ensued. Illyra fought with determination, using her knowledge and the pendant's power to repel the attackers. With a final surge, she grasped the Lantern of Tides, and a burst of radiant energy expelled the dark creatures. Surfacing, Illyra gasped for air, clutching the glowing lantern. Lysander and Arlo cheered softly, but there was no time to rest. Next, the forgotten grove awaited a place spoken of in hushed tones, where the forest itself seemed alive, protecting its secrets jealously. The path twisted through dense foliage, trees bending and moving subtly, guiding or misleading travelers. Illyra felt the pendant's warmth intensify as they ventured deeper. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted, revealing a hidden entrance to an ancient stone temple entwined with roots and vines. Inside, puzzles and trials tested Illyra's resolve, riddles inscribed in forgotten tongues, corridors that shifted as she passed, and visions of the Sea Warden's past flickering like ghosts. At the temple's heart, she found the Heartstone, a pulsating gem that radiated life and balance. As she reached for it, a voice echoed through the chamber. Only with heart, courage, and sacrifice can the Warden awaken. Illyra grasped the Heartstone, feeling a surge of power and connection to the island like never before. Returning to the lighthouse, the relics in hand, Illyra prepared for the ritual that would awaken the Sea Warden. But in the shadows, the Tidebreaker's curse gathered strength, promising that the ultimate battle for Seabreeze was near. The air inside the lighthouse was thick with anticipation as Illyra arranged the three ancient relics, the medallion, the lantern of tides, and the Heartstone upon the stone altar. Each artifact pulsed with a unique energy, humming in harmony as if awakening after a long slumber. Lysander and Arlo stood vigil beside her, their faces etched with solemn determination. Outside, the ocean roared and the sky darkened, a tempest brewing as if nature itself responded to the impending awakening. Illyra took a deep breath, her fingers trembling as she clasped the silver pendant. She began to chant the ancient incantations from the Chronicles of Seabreeze, her voice steady despite the storm raging around them. The relics began to glow fiercely, light swirling upward in spirals of blue, green, and gold. The lighthouse trembled as an unseen force surged through its foundations. Suddenly, a brilliant flash engulfed the chamber, and Illyra was swept away in a vision. She found herself standing on a vast, crystalline shore where the Sea Warden appeared before her. The spirit was magnificent, a luminous figure of swirling water and light, crowned with a halo of radiant lantern flames. Her eyes held the wisdom of the ages and the fierce protectiveness of a mother watching over her children. "You have awakened me, Keeper," the Sea Warden spoke, her voice like the gentle crash of waves and the whisper of sea breeze. "But the battle is far from over. The Tidebreaker's darkness spreads, threatening not only Seabreeze, but the balance of all seas." Illyra felt the weight of destiny settle firmly on her shoulders. "Tell me what I must do." The Sea Warden extended a hand, and a glowing trident materialized. "This is the trident of tides, the source of my power. You must wield it to confront the Tidebreaker and seal away his curse forever." The vision faded, and Illyra found herself back in the lighthouse, the relics dimming but the trident now resting upon the altar. Outside, the storm reached a furious crescendo, lightning illuminating the silhouette of the black dagger once more, its cursed crew preparing to launch their final assault. Illyra grasped the trident of tides, feeling its cool weight and electric energy. "This is for Seabreeze," she vowed. With Lysander and Arlo by her side, she prepared to face the coming darkness, knowing that the fate of the island and perhaps the world rested on her courage and strength. The storm raged around the lighthouse as Illyra, wielding the glowing trident of tides, stood resolute on the rocky shore. The black dagger loomed like a phantom ship, its cursed sails whipping violently in the gale. Shadowy figures spilled onto the beach, the Tidebreaker's spectral crew, their eyes hollow and filled with malice. Lysander and Arlo flanked Illyra, chanting protective spells that shimmered like silver threads in the wind. The air crackled with raw magic as the island itself seemed to hold its breath. With a roar that echoed through the tempest, the Tidebreaker's captain appeared, a towering figure draped in dark seaweed armor, eyes blazing with ancient fury. The very ocean seemed to obey his wrath. "You dare defy me, Keeper?" he hissed, raising a jagged cutlass that glowed with a sinister light. Illyra tightened her grip on the trident. "Seabreeze belongs to no curse. I will end your darkness tonight." The battle erupted in a swirl of elemental fury. Illyra summoned waves that crashed against the invaders, the trident's light slicing through shadows like a beacon of hope. Lysander wove spells that bound the ghostly pirates, while Arlo's chants strengthened the island's defenses. The Tidebreaker countered, wielding dark currents that threatened to pull Illyra beneath the waves. But the Sea Warden's power surged within her, a blazing tide of light and water. With a cry, Illyra drove the trident into the sand. A towering column of water erupted, engulfing the cursed captain and his crew. Their screams echoed as they dissolved into mist, the curse breaking like a shattered chain. As the storm cleared, the sea calmed, and the first light of dawn bathed Seabreeze Island in golden warmth. Illyra lowered the trident, exhaustion and triumph washing over her. "You have saved us all," Lysander said, placing a hand on her shoulder. "The island is safe thanks to you." Arlo smiled softly. "The Sea Warden's spirit will now rest peacefully, guarded by its true keeper." Illyra gazed out at the peaceful ocean, knowing this was just the beginning of her journey, protector of Seabreeze and all its secrets. The sun rose gently over Seabreeze Island, casting warm golden light across the tranquil waters and whispering palms. The storm had passed, and with it, the shadow of the Tidebreaker's curse was lifted forever. Yet, the air held a new energy, a promise of renewal and hope. Illyra stood atop the lighthouse balcony, the trident of tides resting by her side, its glow now soft and steady like a heartbeat. Below, Lysander and Arlo prepared the island for the first celebration in generations, a festival of light honoring the Sea Warden and the courage of its keeper. As villagers and travelers gathered, lanterns flickered on the shore, their gentle flames mirrored by the radiant beams from the lighthouse, now a symbol of protection and peace. Illyra's heart swelled with a mix of humility and strength. The journey had tested every fiber of her being, from the whispers of ancient caves to the fierce battle against darkness, yet she stood victorious, forever bound to this sacred place. A soft breeze caressed her face, carrying with it the familiar, comforting scent of salt and wildflowers. From the horizon, a shimmering figure appeared, the Sea Warden herself, radiant and serene, her presence a blessing upon the island. "Thank you, Keeper," the spirit's voice rippled like gentle waves. "You have restored balance, and the island thrives once more. But remember, your journey is eternal." Seabreeze's heart beats within you now, as its guardian. Illyra bowed her head, feeling a deep connection to the island's past, present, and future. The medallion at her throat warmed, a tether to the power she had awakened and would forever protect. As night fell, Illyra lit the ceremonial lantern, its glow merging with the lighthouse beacon, casting light that stretched far beyond the island, a beacon of hope, courage, and new beginnings. The sea was calm, the stars bright, and Seabreeze Island stood alive with stories yet to be told. Illyra smiled, ready for whatever adventures awaited the true guardian of Seabreeze, forever and always. Title: Seabreeze Island, The Awakening of the Sea Warden. Description: When Illyra arrives at the remote Seabreeze Island to assume the role of lighthouse keeper, she discovers the island holds ancient secrets and a powerful legacy. Guided by mysterious guardians Lysander and Arlo, Illyra uncovers the island's forgotten history and faces a looming darkness: the cursed ghost ship Black Dagger and its fearsome captain, the Tidebreaker. To save the island, Illyra must awaken the mythical Sea Warden by gathering ancient relics and confronting forces beyond imagination. Filled with magic, mystery, and thrilling adventure, Seabreeze Island, The Awakening of the Sea Warden is a tale of courage, destiny, and the unbreakable bond between a guardian and her island.